Hello, it is Sunday, August 8th, 2021. I'm Chris Remo, and welcome back to my New York Times Crossword Daily Solve. It is another very rainy day here in North London, but that is okay because it is time to settle down inside for a nice, leisurely, possibly long Sunday crossword solve. A midweek difficulty with an extra large grid is usually how I think about it. But before we do that, let's touch on a couple of answers from yesterday's puzzle. Only two, I think. One was, I think, waste at a winery is how it was clued, something like that. And that was Lee's, which we got entirely through crosses. And it turns out, indeed, that is a byproduct of winemaking. It's deposits, I'm reading here from Wikipedia, deposits of dead yeast or residual yeast and other particles that precipitate at the bottom of a vat of wine after the fermentation and aging process. So that's what that is. And I was not aware of that, not being particularly educated in winemaking. The other clue that I wanted to share, and this one, in retrospect, I really am kicking myself for not getting. The Lees, fair enough. I was not familiar with Lees. But the other was around grand, and the answer was 88. And what that is the number of keys on a full-sized piano keyboard, 88 keys. And a thing that is particularly ironic, I suppose, about my inability to see through that clue is that the house in which I'm currently staying, the flat in which I'm currently staying, doing a bit of cat sitting, actually has a stand-up piano with a full-sized 88 key keyboard. It's the first time in, I don't know, many years that I've had regular access to a traditional full piano, which is very nice. But that was not enough to, I don't know, sort of trigger the neurons in my brain to understand and associate 88 with grand, meaning grand piano, 88 keys on a grand piano, or doesn't have to be grand piano, but that was a clever clue. It's a good clue, and I just whiffed it. So apologies there. Let's move on to today's puzzle, the Sunday puzzle. We shouldn't waste too much time because it will probably be a long one, as Sunday puzzles tend to be. And as you can see, there's it doesn't all fit on the screen right now because there's this additional notice here at the top. So I'm going to actually remove that from the website after we read it, but I wanted to make sure we looked at it together before we got rid of it. And it says, I actually haven't read it yet, but it says, when this puzzle is done, insert the 5 shaded jigsaw pieces into the box at the bottom to get a 3-word phrase reading across for what jigsaw puzzles provide. Interesting. When this puzzle is done, insert the oh, I see. All right, it's sort of hard to tell behind the privacy veil at the moment, but where my cursor is pointing now, there's a little 4 square shape, a sort of zigzag shape here, another one down here. There's several of these throughout the puzzle, and then you can see they go into this enclosed space down at the bottom of the grid, and that will end up spelling something, it sounds like. So interesting, very interesting. Let's see if we can get rid of this little thing here and hopefully free up some real estate. There we go. All right, this looks like our ordinary solving space. Great. I'll stop these flashes from happening. Okay, and let's just go ahead and get started. I'm going to waste some of my clock running time here to address something, which is that someone, and I'm sorry, this was, I don't know, maybe at least a week ago at this point, so I don't have the comment to hand, but somebody asked in one of the videos, I had mentioned that crosswords tend to be radially symmetrical, which means if you rotate them rather than mirror them, they will have that form of symmetry in the grid. But you can see here, this is not that type of symmetry. This is not radial symmetry. This is, I guess, would it be vertical symmetry? Because if you sort of divided it in half vertically and then folded it over across that division, it would be, the two parts would match. They're symmetrical. And I had said typically crosswords are radially symmetrical, and someone replied and said, well, it seems like a few of them have been horizontally or vertically symmetrical. So what's going on there? And I don't know. I mean, I do think in general they tend to be radially symmetrical, but it is true, probably more often than I acknowledged, they've got horizontal or vertical symmetry as well. Sometimes both, I suppose, which would then also be radially symmetrical. And this one obviously is not radially symmetrical, and it has to be this way in order to allow for this cage at the bottom. Unless there was going to be a cage on all four edges, it wouldn't be able to be radially symmetrical. Anyway, I'm not going to belabor that anymore. It's been a minute and a half, apparently, of me talking about this. So let's just get going. Part of a pie or the earth. I almost said, I was about to say crust because my brain jumped to the answer, which I believe to be crust, the earth's crust, a pie crust, and I sort of said it aloud. All right, O-line anchor. I'm not sure, this is ringing a bell, what an O-line is, but I can't bring it to mind. Feel regret. Well, if you feel regret, you rue something. You rue the day. You feel regret about that day. Trojans School. I think this is the University of Southern California, Trojans, I think. Distinctive part of a cookie cutter. The shape, I suppose? Could it be that straightforward? That seems a little bit simple, but maybe it is. Tap, tap, tap activity. I'm not sure offhand, but let's look at some of these crosses. So a keister. Could it be your tushy? Is that the case? Oh, and then the tap, tap, tap activity now looks like typing, doesn't it? Oh, line anchor, CT, I'm not sure what that is, but end of many a sports broadcast is a recap. So what is a center? CTR, center? Must be that. So we can either start looking at some crosses or we can just keep marching through the clues. Let's do that today. That's what I feel like doing. Style that makes waves. Could this be a hairstyle? Could it be a perm? A permanent? Maybe? Get into a lot. Get into a lot. Park. Get into a parking lot, in this case. Jacob's brother in the Bible. I want to say Esau. Could that be correct? E-S-A-U? Moved like waves or muscles. Well, you could ripple. Rippling waves and rippling muscles. A certain degree. It could be a master's degree. And then China holder indeed. You'd think this would be China, the material, because of holder, but in fact it's Asia, where China is held, I guess you could say. So a certain degree, freestyles perhaps, yep. Freestyle rapping, raps, this is a master's degree. And Joshes, well, if you josh somebody, you kid them. Joshes, kids. So let's look at this long answer. First, you're going to want to dump out the box and pick up the something. I would think this will be. Pick up the sticks. Could it be referring to the game Pick Up Sticks? Maybe. Let's look at the crosses. Derby, e.g., or Derby, as it would be pronounced over here in Britain, as the hat. Response to the Little Red Hen. Oh, I don't remember whatever this is. It's probably either a nursery rhyme or a fairy tale. Language related to Manx. Oh, Erse? No. Erse, E-R-S-E, I want to say. Maybe this isn't Pick Up the Sticks. I was going out a bit on a limb there. Let's come back to all of this. Let's keep going through the clues. Doe in a court case. Well, this is, I think, an anonymized name in court, which would be John or Jane Doe, I think. And we don't know which, but they each start with a J. So let's look at this cross. St. Blank University, Philadelphia School. I don't know. I just don't know. Axe target. This could be, it could be wood or tree or something, but it could also be referring to Axe, the deodorant, and it could be odor. Could be either. I'm inclined to think that because it's sort of a little more clever. It's a little more off the beaten path. But we're not certain. So let's actually keep looking. Flubs. Well, it probably ends with an S, doesn't it? Blank cat. And we see that cat is capitalized. And so this is going to be most likely a brand name. It's hyphenated. That's just probably what it is. And I think I've seen this before, and I think it's a brand of either snowplow or snowmobile, a vehicle, but I think it's Snowcat. Botch. We've got Botch and Flubs, slightly related, but obviously not the same. Some Madison Avenue workers. Well, if you have seen Mad Men, you might recognize the phrase Mad Men as referring both to Madison Avenue, where the advertising industry was located for many years in New York, and also a clever allusion to ad men, which is what the answer to this would be. Government economic organization, at any rate. So the at any rate is really in here kind of to push us a bit more towards the answer. I think it's not. I think you could leave it out of the clue, and it would be perfectly answerable the same way. And so I think what this is getting at is the Fed, which sets the base interest rate that then has a knock-on effect to interest rates in lending throughout the financial system. So the Fed, the Federal Reserve. Sounds in a yoga studio. This is probably chant, right? Om, I would guess this would be ohms. Keats for one. So Keats is a poet, and one thing we know when it comes to poetry about the crossword is that the crossword loves odes. The crossword loves an ode because I think ODE is probably a very helpful word to help fill a grid. And so even if we didn't necessarily know for sure that Keats was an odist, we might suspect he is in a crossword. Flubs. So flubs looks like it could be goofs, doesn't it? And that could be a noun or a verb. Egg egg, e.g. So egg, for instance. Is an egg a gamete? I think it is a gamete. I don't remember my school biology well enough to explain to you precisely what that is, but it has something to do with the reproductive process. And then botch is misdo if this is gamete, which seems totally plausible. A little bit of an odd word, misdo, but it's fair enough. Misdoings, for instance. So let's go back here. So this is not pick up the stick. So that language might be Erse. I might be pronouncing that incorrectly if so, but I think that's a sort of related to kind of Celtic languages, I believe. I don't remember which one that is. I'm sorry. But it could be that. Pick up the pieces. Oh, pick up the pieces. Of course, pick up the pieces. So this is getting at, this is either part of the theme or it's just echoing the theme a bit, and it's dealing with these crossword pieces here. So I wonder if we can already insert these four letters, this TUEC. Can we already put these in here? I'm not 100% certain. It could be the case that these four could be mirrored and end up over here in the southwestern puzzle piece, but I suspect not. I suspect it will be, their position will be, the orientation will be maintained. That's my suspicion. All right, so let's go back to the clues. Bounded, if one bounded, one leapt. Francis of old game shows, I haven't a clue. Let's keep going. Capital on a 126-mile-long canal that's used as a skating rink in the winter. Well, that's incredibly interesting, and I don't know. Interesting. This presumably will become obvious with some crosses. Menial laborer, metaphorically. Could it be a cow? Is that a metaphor used for a menial laborer? I don't know, but then that does make this look like Ottawa, Canada, which seems plausible given the weather, the winters, and the skating. Was it a blank I saw? Classic palindrome. Well, we know if it's a palindrome, it's going to read the same in either direction. So we can immediately rule out Ottawa, I think. What is this going to be then? Do I have something wrong? Oh, no. Sorry. We don't have to rule out Ottawa for yet. Okay, sorry. I was misinterpreting the palindrome. So what this means is that the last letter is going to be a T because it begins with W-A-S-I-T. And if you read the letters in reverse from the end, it's W-A-S-I. So we'll need a T at the end there. Was it? And then we know that the A is going to be in the same position in either direction, which means we can place it here. And so it looks like a rat or a cat. I mean, I think it could read equally correctly with either a rat or a cat, but it does fit with Ottawa. So let's look here. College app component. Oh, I'm not sure actually, but let's see. Mists, e.g. Feeling it after a marathon, say. Well, you could be achy after a marathon. Let's see. Let's keep looking here. One of the B's in BB and B. Could that be the big box store? Another pair of B's, Bed, Bath, and Beyond. So this is Bath. Could that be it? Mists, e.g. Oh, I see. So it's, sorry, I was looking at this as a noun, but I think it's a verb. In other words, to mist, to wet something. College app component. Well, we see app for application. So this will be some sort of abbreviation or initialism. Oh, I see. Recommendation. So it is a rat rather than a cat. Was it a rat I saw? Is there some reason that needs to be rat and not cat? I don't know. So let's keep going. English breakfast, e.g. Well, that is a tea, a black tea. What's most useful next is to... Okay, so this is going... So I see. So we're going to have a series of clues here that are going to be some sort of set of instructions, I think, about solving a crossword puzzle. Or sorry, not solving a crossword puzzle. They're not going to give us any help about solving a crossword puzzle, but they may well give us some tips about solving a jigsaw puzzle down here. And actually, I'm sorry, I didn't credit the authors of this puzzle, Christina Iverson and Jeff Chen. I'm almost certain I've seen Jeff Chen before. Until I started doing this series, I think I've mentioned, I didn't really ever pay attention to the names of the constructors, but I'm pretty sure Jeff Chen has been in here more than once anyway. Christina Iverson possibly as well. Anyway, both of them have constructed what is shaping up to be quite a clever and ambitious puzzle, I would say. So let's see, what's most useful next is to gather, this looks like, doesn't it? Gather the something, but let's look at some of these crosses that we've now been granted. Big suit. Oh, a CPA, a certified public accountant, or chartered public accountant? Maybe. P doesn't look very good there. The reason I'm a little bit apprehensive around this whole area is that a big suit strikes me as a high-ranking executive, which usually would be a chief something officer or an O here. And also, now that I look here, this TK doesn't look very good. Kids seems pretty plausible. So maybe this isn't gather. Maybe it says go something. Go, I don't know. So this could be CEO, chief executive officer, chief financial officer, chief technical officer. Could be any number of things. And this is for oof, wow, this is going to be a tough one. Because this could be a number of things, and this name could be anything. I don't know who this Francis is. Maybe it'll be more obvious with clues. I don't know, with crosses. So let's look here. Approves. Approves looks like okays to me. Perspective, it could be a view. Yeah, okay, so this is view, and this is go over, and this is, in fact, a chief officer of some variety. So go over the, I'm still suspect this is the, and let's look here. Well, this looks like St. Joseph's University, doesn't it? Rescue dog, for one. Oh, I'm not sure offhand. Is it a particular breed that's often used as a rescue dog, maybe? I'm not sure. Doe in a court case still could be John or Jane, but if we look at some crosses, maybe that'll help us out. Response to the little red hen. Oh, could this be not I? Now this is ringing a bell. A children's story and someone goes around and asks, who did this thing? Who did this thing? And all the animals say, not I. So maybe that's what this is. Don't remember what crime had been committed. I don't remember what sin, what grave sin is being alleged. I do think this is Erse. Doe in a court case is Jane. Axe target is in fact odor. Barflies are sots, in other words, drunkards. And then, a rescue dog is an adoptee. It was more straightforward than I was making it. And what's most useful next is to go over the, I still don't know. Achievement for Whoopi Goldberg in brief. I think Whoopi Goldberg is one of very few humans who has achieved an EGOT, an Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, and Tony, four of the most prestigious performing arts, I suppose, awards. State flower of Utah. Well, not obviously, but I certainly wouldn't know what the state flower of Utah is, but I believe there is a flower that is the sago, so it's probably that. So maybe the next most useful thing in solving a jigsaw puzzle is to go over the edge. I would have thought edges, so that, I'm not sure. Menial laborer metaphorically. Not a cow, it's a cog, but I lucked out that it had an O in the middle. A cog in the machine. So this is go over the edge, like cioccolato or torta. Probably dolce, sweet, right, in Italian. Rifle and frontier lingo. Well, it'll be old or ol. Old apostrophe, abbreviating old. I don't know, old Betsy? Could that possibly be what this is? Bosom buddies. Besties? No. Best buds? Maybe. Steady? Maybe. UPS competitor. Well, UPS is logistics and shipping company, a competitor DHL, which I think might have been in the crossword recently. Euphoric feeling is elation. That's how I feel when I hear that jingle at the end of solving a New York Times crossword. Beehives, but not hornets' nests. Maybe it's referring to, there could be a property of a beehive that is different to a hornet's nest in the literal sense, but it could also be a hairdo. In other words, a beehive is a hairdo, for instance, but a hornet's nest isn't. I don't think, anyway. And it is plural. These are plural, so this is going to end in an S probably. The Puzzle Palace organization. I do not recognize that. Well, let's maybe not put the S in just yet. High-end Italian auto informally. I don't know about this Buds. Maybe it is Buds, but high-end Italian auto. So what are high-end Italian auto brands? Ferrari, obviously, Lamborghini. What else? I'm sure there are quite a few, but I don't know. Neither Ferrari nor Lamborghini seems to have, they may well have a four-letter nickname, but I don't think I know it. Let's see, how people often scroll through social media. Well, I can certainly attest that is done idly. That's gotta hurt. Oof, maybe you would say oof with that. Oh, high-end Alpha Auto informally. Alfa Romeo, another car make. There we go. Okay, so this is not best buds. It is maybe best pals. And then indeed, a beehive is a hairdo. They're updos. Your hair is put up into a beehive. So the Puzzle Palace organization is the NSA. National Security Administration? Is that what that is? Not sure what that is. That's fine. Steady, maybe. So this is referring to your steady, someone with whom you're going steady, your beau. And another step in our instructions to solve the puzzle. So first, you're going to want to jump out the box and pick up the pieces. What's most useful next is to go over the edge. So each of these, in addition to, this is very clever, each of these, in addition to being, I suppose, being a plausible and accurate description of how to solve a jigsaw puzzle, is also an ordinary colloquial expression in its own right. So that's why this isn't go over the edges, which would technically make more sense, but it's because it's cleverly reusing an idiomatic phrase, go over the edge, pick up the pieces, go over the edge. And so here we have, to connect things up, you'll have to Could this be notches? Sorry, this is probably one of those things that I'm sure quite a few of you are instantly grabbing onto, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to sit around. I'm sure it'll become very obvious after a few more crosses. Staple of skincare. It could be Olay, right? That's a skincare brand, I think. Sought office. If you sought office, you ran. Field work of note in 1979. Well, I'm not exactly sure. Could this be amphora? Could it be field work in the sense of archaeological exploration and, amphora, sort of large vases? Loads. I don't know. Not very confident about this. I don't know what the field work of. I mean, I can imagine this being amphora being found in 1979, but that seems pretty specific. Yeah, I'm not sure. Retreat. Could be retreat. Could have a few different senses. I mean, it could be a retreat in the sense of a location to which you travel for rest and relaxation. It could be retreat as in to run, to desert, bringing up a word from the other day. Take back for short. It could be repo, repossess. Loads could be a ton. Roll for Ronnie Howard. I want to say this is Opie from, I don't remember what program, but I think I mainly know this from the Crossword. Some sort of old sitcom. Francis. Oh, it could be Arlene Francis, right? Or Francis Arlene. And then that would be CEO here, which would be the biggest suit of all, the chief executive officer. And then a retreat could be a lair. I'll leave that out for now, just in case there are other sort of tricky squares. I mean, although when I think about it, that's really all this could be, because you have chief technical officer. T could technically work, but doesn't look very right. F makes no sense for chief financial officer. Then there are things like goofy ones like that tech companies have, like chief innovation officer, which could sort of work, or Lenny, but I think it's going to be Arlene. Okay. This makes me think I have something wrong somewhere. I mean, this looks like to connect things up, you'll have to play with matches. In other words, pieces that match, or I'm sorry, sort of the cut patterns that match one another. Noshed on, if one notched on something, one ate it. Peak sacred to the goddess Rhea. Well, it'll be mount something, won't it? We'll come back to it. Sharp on a TV, informally. Well, my first thought was Sharp, the brand that makes TVs, or did. I don't know if Sharp is still around, but I don't think that's what it is. I think it's high def or high res, high resolution, high definition. Could be either of those. Exercise programs since the 1990s. I think this is Tybo. Wrath Ire. Let's look at this cross just to see. Bonnie with 5 top 40 hits in the 1990s. Bonnie Raitt, yep, it seems correct. More like a dive bar or a certain bread, It's seedier. A bread or a dive bar could both be very seedy. A creamy Italian dish. Not sure offhand, but I suspect it will be very obvious with crosses. Sharp on a TV, so yes, this is high def in this case. And one of the B's in BB and B. Oh, that's funny. So we had bath. So this certainly is bed, bath, and beyond, right? I wonder if we'll have beyond. Mount Ida, maybe as you go, make sure you exercise your. All right, we'll come back to this with some crosses. I'm sure it'll be pretty straightforward. One's getting the crumbs. One's getting the crumbs. I am not sure. Let's look up here. Titus and Tiberius. Emperors? So what is this? Oh, Norma Ray. An opera? So I had this skincare wrong, and I don't know what, this is probably another brand, but I don't know what it is. Love to Bits. Maybe this is a movie. Sally Field? Is that what this is getting at? One's getting the crumbs. Love to bits. Oh, adore. One loves one to bits. One adores the other. Oh, staple of skincare. Sorry, it's not a brand. It's more straightforward than that. It's simply aloe, plant, used in skincare applications. One's getting the crumbs. I'm not sure what that's quite getting at. You'll blank for this. You'll pay for this. Oh, pigeons get the crumbs from crusts of bread. Right, from a crust of bread. Words with a ring to them. I would say this is I do, stated in a wedding ceremony at which rings are exchanged. Letter between foxtrot and hotel in the NATO alphabet. Well, clearly it would start with a G, but we already knew that because G is between F and H. Golf? I don't know. Could golf be? One of these days I should learn this alphabet, shouldn't I? It does come up in the crossword with some degree of frequency. Daredevil's hashtag. Well, golf would fit here because this is surely YOLO. You only live once, one might exclaim before doing something death-defying. As you go, make sure you exercise your... I don't know. Let's keep looking. Very in. Well, it could be hot or hip. Let's look here. More straight-faced. Steelier? No. Stonier? Maybe. I mean, I feel as though this probably could be a few things, but that would work with hot. Let's just keep looking around at the crosses and see if we can confirm or deny these guesses. Singer whom MLK Jr., Martin Luther King Jr., and that is, I think it's probably noteworthy that it's abbreviated MLK Jr. rather than it's saying Martin Luther King or something like that. Singer whom MLK Jr. called the Queen of American folk music. Okay, I do think the abbreviation is, I do think it actually has meaning here because I want to say Odetta, which I think is her real name, but is just her given name, presumably. So that would make sense with this sort of abbreviated clue. Word that becomes its own opposite by putting a T at the front. This has come up a few times recently. I do enjoy these. I always find them little clever bits of wordplay. Word that becomes its own opposite by putting a T at the front. So the opposite will start with a TH sound. I'm sure it'll be very obvious with maybe even just, I would say one more cross would make it very obvious, and I'm sure a number of you have already spotted it. So if one is at peace, one is serene. So okay, let's go back here. Horn and thorn, those are not opposites. Well, I didn't make it obvious. That one cross didn't make it obvious to me. It may well make it obvious to you. It probably has. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to move on. I don't want to waste. I don't want to waste too much of your time. Play again as a TV special. Re-air, rerun. Neither of those works. Probably starts with re, doesn't it? Let's look up here. Good name for an investor. Okay. Well, this is a U.S. specific clue, I would say. I think this is IRA. In other words, same letters as IRA, which stands for Individual Retirement Account, which is an investment vehicle, tax-advantaged investment vehicle that's used for pensions and things like that in the U.S. Companion in Brittany is French for friend or companion. Ami, so would be the feminine form. Creamy Italian dish. It could be risotto. Probably. Don't think we've looked here yet. Little bouquets. Posies, maybe? Devote. Play again as a TV special, right? We just got that. Name suffix meaning mountain. Interesting. Mont? I mean, that probably is true, but probably a little too obvious given mountain. And it doesn't really work here. As you go, make sure you exercise your freedom of assembly to assemble the puzzle. Freedom of assembly, that looks correct. Devote, little bouquets. Let's keep going for now. Kapow, I don't know, could be bam or something. Bam, biff. Reminds me of the old 1960s Batman television program starring Adam West, which I remember when I was growing up, which was obviously, well, not obviously, maybe, I don't know. I don't know if I look that old, probably I don't. But I always remember hearing that show was very poor and low quality, and it was very naive, and they made a show that was just too corny to exist. But it was reissued on Blu-ray recently. I hope I haven't said this on a previous episode of this, but I really do want to recommend the 1960s Adam West Batman television program, because it was re-released on Blu-ray in an incredibly beautiful, remastered, extraordinarily high-definition release. It was high def for sure, and it looks gorgeous. And it's actually incredibly clever. The people who wrote that show, actually one of whom was Lorenzo Semple Jr., who was also a great writer of 1970s conspiracy thrillers after his Batman days. But it's incredibly clever. It's very tongue-in-cheek. Those writers knew exactly what they were doing. There was nothing, there was no sort of unintentional corniness about it. It's a very, very, very clever show. It is absolutely a joy to watch. I couldn't recommend it more highly. Definitely watch the 1960s Adam West Batman TV program. Anyway, sorry, I was thinking of the bam, biff, pow that they always put all over the screen in that show. But I don't know which one of those it is. Sorry for that digression. Let's move on. Fir tree. I don't know. I feel as though that probably could be a few things. With patience and perseverance, you're sure to put it together, maybe? Let's look around. Used as a rendezvous point. Well, met at the rendezvous point. Prefix with color or state. Could be tricolor, like the French flag, the tricolore, or tri-state when 3 states meet one another. Sugar ending. I think os as in sucrose. World War II fighters, GIs, infantry, I guess ordinary members of the infantry or whatever. Devote. Let's see. Castigates. If one castigates someone else, one tears into that person. Play again as a TV special. Oh, re-show. I don't know why that didn't pop into my mind. Name suffix meaning mountain. Burn, born, little bouquets. Maybe it is posies. Devote. Spend. If you devote time, you spend time. Could that be what this is getting at? Gets wild and crazy, parties down. Another television program that I would recommend, Party Down. Name suffix meaning mountain. Must be burn, right? Fairy tale. I'm not going to fill it in just yet because I'm not 100% certain. Fairy tale figure. I don't know. Probably could be a few things. Course goal. Oh, I just realized we have all these other pieces. Shall we put them in? Let's try putting them in and see what happens. Oops, that was not right. F-M-E-N. Yeah, and so I think the orientation is maintained. R-E-T-T-S. I think I see what this is, but let's wait. Let's just wait. You might see what it is as well, but let's keep going. Confer as credibility. It could be to lend credibility to an enterprise, for instance. Fir tree, is it still a date? Are we on? Are we on for the Monday crossword tomorrow? Is it still a date? Roman goddess of wisdom. Well, the Greek god would be Athena. Minerva. Minerva is the Roman goddess. Yep. Kapow. Bam. Maybe it is bam. Fir tree. Songs that can be trilling. Arias, maybe? An aria meaning it's a piece in an opera that is it's often a showcase for a singer, so they might be doing sort of fancy ornamental techniques like trills, I suspect is what that's getting at. And then brain diagnostics for short, EEPs. Is that correct? I do not recognize that at all, but these crosses look correct to me. EEPs, boy, I sure hope that's correct. I fear a failed submission in my future here. Songs that can be trilling, arias. Actor Brody, Adrian Brody, right? Fir tree, I'm not sure offhand. Leave skid marks, maybe. I'm not sure. Homes for high flyers. So this looks like a bird's nest high up on a cliff top or something. Aries. Come on, Slowpoke, move it. Move it, you might be telling me, with this crossword. It's been 37 minutes already. Balsam, maybe? Balsam, I think, is a tree. And then leave skid marks is to swerve. So your tire will leave skid marks as it swerves across the road. Annoying. Pesty? I would have thought pesky, which would make this wrong. Maybe I have something wrong here. Bloodline. Well, bloodline does look like vein. Mary Poppins, for one, is a nanny. This does look like pesty. Is that really a word? Pesty? I don't think I've ever heard that before. I'll have to look it up. Grannies. Well, probably nanas, right? Pick up on. Sense, to pick up on a bit of evidence, to sense it. Ends as a mission. Well, if the mission ends unsuccessfully, it could be aborted. The mission aborts. Instruction to drivers leaving cars at a garage. No keys? Temporal lobe, that sounds right. So that no is correct. Not sure about the keys. NFL standout. Don't know. Legendary. Okay, we're starting to reach a point where I'm going to have to start putting some clues in here. Willie blank. Willie Nelson. Some answers, sorry, I should say. Willie Nelson. No. Okay, well, it's not keys. NFL standout. All-star, obviously not. Doesn't fit. Legendary. Fairy tale figure. Is this Nelson? Singer Willie Nelson, right? It's got to be. What am I? You know what? I actually am going to put these in because I'm pretty sure I know what the answer is and I want these to help me out. I want those squares over there to help. So let's see. This is going to be M-O. This is E-R. And I think this is picture perfect moments. Very clever. This is a very clever puzzle. Picture perfect. And so that means this is, legendary is epic. That makes, probably should have gotten that one on my own. And then a P here. NFL standout. So this is National Football League, American football. So all pro, I guess. I don't know. Is that a thing? All pro? Isn't everyone in the NFL professional? Gathers some intel. Well, recons, as in reconnaissance, I would think that would be. Instruction to drivers leaving cars at a garage. No spin, no. What am I not seeing there? Course goal. So in golf, on a golf course, your goal might be par, not exceeding the number of strokes that are the target for that hole. You agree? Oh, I haven't looked at this clue yet. You agree? Nudge, nudge. Am I right? I suppose this is getting at, and it's spelled in this sort of slangy way, which I guess that's what's being implied by the nudge, nudge. Maybe it's sort of the whole thing has a sort of buddy-buddy feel to it. we can sense, we can pick up on that clue that the crossword constructor has left for us with that nudge nudge. All right, let's see. Apps made with jalapenos and cheese. Poppers? Jalapeno poppers, I guess? Oh, a fairy tale figure is a gnome. Oh, of course, the name suffix meaning mountain berg. That sounds much more correct than Bern. I don't know. Maybe I was thinking of Bern, Switzerland or something. No, it's wrong. I thought it would be wrong, and it was. What did I get wrong? So brain diagnostics for short. This is certainly my first port of call because this just seems weird to me. EEPs. What do I have incorrect about this? Put it together with, oh, this looks wrong. Oh, yeah, sorry. Sorry, this whole thing is I never looked back at the word that becomes its own opposite. It's obviously not heru. That doesn't make any sense. It's here, the opposite of which is there, which I'm sure many of you saw. And so that means this is not put it together, nor is it pet it together. It is get it together. And so there we go. That's the puzzle. Sorry, shouldn't have made that mistake in the first place. That was silly. I should have gotten this here. And I shouldn't have jumped to conclusions on this get it together. And so EEG, I probably electro something gram. I certainly recognize that term, but I don't remember what it stands for. Anyway, that's the Sunday puzzle. What a very, very, very clever theme here. This is great. We've got these crossword pieces. I'm sorry, I keep saying that. These jigsaw puzzle pieces that fit seamlessly into this little square down here. They're not quite, they sort of look like Tetris pieces, don't they? But they're not quite, because I think all Tetris pieces have four are composed of 4 squares, whereas this one has 5, but that's fine. So these are what? Tetrominoes, and this one with 5 is a pentomino, I believe is what you'd call those, referring to the number of tiles in each. So yeah, very good. And then we've got this nice little run of phrases that assemble the full instructions. First, you're going to want to dump out the box and pick up the pieces. What's most useful next is to go over the edge of the crossword puzzle. To connect things up, you'll have to play with matches. And as you go, make sure you exercise your freedom of assembly. With patience and perseverance, you're sure to get it together. And that's how I feel about the crossword. With patience and perseverance, you're sure to get it together. And really, you could actually, I kept misreferring to the puzzle as a crossword puzzle rather than a jigsaw puzzle. It was a bit of a misdo on my part. But these could almost some of these apply just as well to the crossword. You do sort of go over the edge. You do start at the edge in a crossword puzzle. And you play around with matches, maybe your crosses. You could call those matches. Freedom of assembly, I mean, that could work with pretty much any puzzle of any sort, I suppose. And with patience and perseverance, you're sure to get it together. And that's what this series is all about, right? Patience and perseverance. For myself as well as for you watching. So I really enjoyed this puzzle constructed by Christina Iverson and Jeff Chen. I hope you enjoyed it as well. I hope you had I thought this was a nice, as always, it takes a while, 42 minutes. I mean, that's longer, honestly, that's longer than even a tough Saturday, I think, like yesterday was, but that's so it goes with Sunday puzzles. They tend to drag on, but didn't really have any extended periods of frustration. It was not too brutal. So I hope that was your experience as well. If you did find it particularly difficult, don't forget. I've said this about it. I just keep saying this, but with patience and perseverance, you're sure to get it together. I'm sure you will. So if you would like to continue to exercise patience and perseverance on the road to getting it together, you should subscribe to this channel so that these videos, as they go up every morning, will be brought to your YouTube homepage or wherever it is that they show up. I think you can choose to be notified as well, or you can choose not to be. And if you would like to encourage someone else to watch this series and help them solve the crossword, I would, of course, be enormously appreciative of such a thing. And finally, if you are particularly enjoying this series and you are particularly invested in the continuation of this series, you can toss me a small donation over on my Ko-fi page, either as a one-time or recurring, on a one-time or recurring basis, and that directly helps make this show a consistent and sustainable part of my daily work, and that is very meaningful to me. The people who have done so already, I really appreciate it. Thank you to every single one of you. I obviously am aware that not everyone's in a position to make that kind of contribution, and that's completely okay. Just keep watching the show and subscribing to the channel. But to those who have been able to, I really appreciate it. And with that, I will let you be. It's been a long video, of course, as Sundays usually are. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope to see you again for a much, much, much quicker and easier puzzle tomorrow, we suspect, on Monday to kick off the work week gently. So until then, have a great rest of your Sunday. Take care.